Hello and welcome into the SorareAndrews podcast, brought to you by RotoWire and sponsored by Sorare. I am Andrew Laird from SorareData. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined as always by Andy Black, who you can find as Black on Sorare. Andy, you said we should talk about stacks this week, and I was like, why should we do that? And you were like, we should talk about stacks this week. And then I looked at some of the leaderboards of the week, and it seems like a good time to talk about stacks.
Yeah, why not,
Do you have
right?
any
Do I have any stacks?
this week? Did you have any from this previous game week?
That worked.
Yes.
I think that's the most important question. Did it work? I don't think any of them worked.
Yeah.
I think I won. The cards that I won were all like non-stacky type teams.
I built a stack late in the week, and then I mean, I don't even want to call it a stack. It was two guys from the same team. It was a defender and a midfielder. Like, it was probably just dumb. And then one didn't even start.
Maybe that's where we start this conversation. Let's define what a stack is.
There we go.
Is two players from the same team a stack?
I don't
Defender
think so.
plus goalkeeper, is that a stack?
Yeah, I think defender plus goalkeeper should be considered a stack. And I'm just not sure how. I mean, I think if anybody sees more than one guy from the team, they're like, oh, here's another stack. And whether like it's a reasonable, like if it's goalkeeper forward, they're like, oh, there's another stack. And it's like, well, that one probably doesn't correlate at all, but it just happens to be two guys from the same team. But I don't know. How many? I mean, is two enough other than a goalkeeper defender?
I think it's got to be more than two.
Otherwise, they're just teammates.
Yeah. It's kind of my thought, but I guess the real definition doesn't even matter that much. But I just feel like two together will never be something that they like try to like put a rule around. Like, two players from the same team will always be allowed. There's never going to be a rule in place to stop that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not worried about that. The only thing that I would be like see them ever do is like if you just played five players from the same team, is that going to be something that they allow forever? I don't know.
So I have a lot to say about both of those topics.
Yeah.
One, I'll say we talked about stacks like months ago when we had Sean Newsham on, PSU fans too, on Sorare. And I think I hadn't really heard anybody talking about stacks before Sean did, and so I'll give him credit for at least making it more well known. I wasn't checking every lineup, but it just didn't seem like it was something that many people were considering.
I think the defender goalkeeper combos,
that one, yes,
which maybe that's the term we call those combos, was widely used for a long time. I know I've been doing the combo play for a long time, but maybe not 3-player defensive plus goalkeeper stacks or full 5-player stacks. It was not something I was really looking at.
Yeah. And to be honest, I wasn't really looking at it until I almost want to say I accidentally built one when I did the River Plate one months ago.
Right.
And once I had 3, I was like, I should just get all 5. And I think once they went to dynamic rewards, when they were going to open game weeks, even if there was only one licensed team playing, then I was like, awesome. Because there were some like midweeks where they had, Copa matches and River Plate was there. And I was like, hey, I got 5 starters here. Let's go. And I don't think any of them were ever successful. But I think there's just been a lot of people like speculating that they're going to have to do something about stacks. And it was actually something that Jimmer said months ago when he was on, when we were speculating about whether there was that talk that if you played D3, you couldn't play in what they were calling then the academy. And now we're calling the progress bar and we still have no idea what it is. But anyway, Jimmer made this point that he was basically against limiting utility of cards and that you would have people who bought cards that they theoretically could have played in the academy. And Sorare was going to be like, no, you cannot use those cards because you're playing D3. And just the idea that the whole thing about these cards is their utility. And they're like, look at all these ways you can use it. And if you are going to tell people that they can buy whatever cards they want, but they're like, you know what, you can only play 2 of them at a time, I just don't see them doing it. And mostly because the whole point of these cards is a utility. Like, we're not there. The value of our cards is not because we're all like really excited collectors. It's for the SO5 value. And if you start limiting use of cards, it gets ugly for everyone, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when, like some people may just want to play because of fandom or they support a particular team or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, you can't play your 5 Liverpool players together because, that's not allowed.
Right.
And I think that might, be a downside or frustrating for someone that just is like, I only support Liverpool. I only want to play those 5 players together, and that's all I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I just don't feel like they can go.
That's why I said it. I figured you were out there, Mark.
But I think that's a great point, though, that there are people who come on the platform and they're like, I support this team. I'm going to buy 5. I mean, I talked to somebody, I remember a few months ago when I had Tim Mealy, and he's like, I live in Kansas City. I'm a sporting Kansas City fan. You have the scarf right behind you. And he's like,
Yep.
I play 5-man Kansas SKC stacks because that's my team.
Yeah. And that's like, probably a really fun stack, to be honest. I mean, they had five players you could definitely play together. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And they got a wrestler at goalkeeper. So I don't know if you saw the highlight with Tim Amelia, but
it was a good takedown.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, fundamentally, I'm just limiting utility feels a bit strange to me. And I think the stack conversation has also changed a bit because when we had Sean on, the point of the stack was like, if you could get the 5 individual best players, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
But if you can't, and this applies to many more of us, then maybe you get a stack that isn't so expensive. And then one week when other teams struggle and yours goes off, you win. And I think there started to be this idea that like, oh, I built this stack, so I should win every week because I'm stacking. Yeah. And it's like, well, it depends what team you're stacking. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, some of the people who could buy the best players were actually just buying stacks now. And that's what we saw this last week. And I think, to be honest, I didn't even look at the galleries of the people who had these IAC and Morioka stacks, which I think was fine. But
yeah, so Challenger D3 was full IAC stacks plus Morioka. So it was
4.
Yeah, so it was either 2 forwards like Tadic and Haller plus a defender and their goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was. They all had Passphere, Blind, Morioka, Tadic, and then it was the extra spot was different.
Yeah, one of them had Lissandro. One of them had, I think, Haller, and the other one had somebody else.
Berghuis, which must be nice to have.
Yeah. So our point is, Mark, that's not really a stack. It is a stack.
It's a 4-man stack.
I think a 4-man stack is a stack.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a full team.
Right. And the best guy on the team in the lineup was not from Ajax.
Right. And then Challenger D4 basically was no stacking at all. The top 3 podium positions were first place was I don't know how to pronounce it, Vertonghen from Benfica, and Odysseus. So Odia, not even going to try. And then the second was Adon and Coates. Coates. We had fun with that one the other day.
Yeah, we did.
And then third place at Challenger D4 was no stack at all. So just five players from different teams. So, it's not as if, just play the IAC stack and win. It's, you still have to put it in the right spot. And
you still need a Morioka.
Yeah, and have Morioka in there with them. Captain.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure the IAX ones in D3 were Morioka was captain on all of them, so he was the rare card, and so you have that kind of benefit in Challenger D4 that I'm assuming most people play Morioka rare in D3. Sorry, what do we call that now? Rare Pro.
Yeah.
Apologies if those new.
I'm not going to get that right for months.
It's going to take me a long time. Yeah, Mark, I think, was the first one to use this term spine. I apologize. Let me rephrase. I have no idea if he was the first one. He was the first one that I heard use the term spine instead of a stack. But
yeah, I like that term.
yeah, makes sense. It's an
So
actual
2
software
players
term.
from the same team, is that a spine, or is 3 players from the same team a spine?
So this is where I was like wondering about where we go, because I made a Salzburg limited stack with it was goalie, center back, defensive midfielder, and I'm like, that's a stack? And like theoretically, if they play well defensively,
3 is a
yeah.
spine.
So 3 is a spine. Right. So I have a Salzburg spine. But anyway, so I think that people use stacks differently in terms of like, do you use it just to be competitive every week? And obviously an IAC stack is going to be competitive almost every week. Or do you do that ridiculous Chicago Fire stack that like when it goes off, you know, it's going to be cheap, but you get 5 players, theoretically, they're all going to start. Like you tend not to get guys who are questionable starters to go into your stacks, and that gets you competitive like once every so often. But when you're competitive, like you're near the top.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is kind of like what I define as the 2 types of stacks. You have elite stacks, and then you have crappy stacks. And the elite stacks are interesting to me because typically it's like the best players. Like a Bayern stack is, it's got to have like Goretzka and Kimmich and Lewandowski and goalkeeper Neuer and Davies or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like those players are extremely expensive, and to like do that stack, you could also just plug in some other super players like a Neymar or whoever. So like that stack to me only really works. I shouldn't say only really works, but it's going to be highly effective in games that they're dominant in, where they win 3-0, 4-0, whatever. And I guess that does happen decently regular with Bayern, but you could also just build a really good team for a lot of money if you're building that team.
Yeah, I feel like if you have a budget to make a Bayern stack, then you might be almost like capping your upside by not, instead of taking, well, you probably don't want to get rid of Lewandowski, but like maybe you need, instead of Goretzka, you take, now I'm like totally blanking on an elite champion Europe since I don't play at midfielder, but whoever. But like maybe there are just better options. Maybe one week it's, you need a better goalkeeper defender stack because Bayern happens to be playing Dortmund or something like that.
Right.
Or they probably smash Dortmund anyway. But I don't know. I just feel like I got very comfortable with Shaqiri. I got very comfortable with the 5-man stack because of my River Plate stack. But like, I don't think like right now, I'm not looking to build 5-player stacks. But I am looking at least to have 2 or 3 guys from the same team if I can get the right lineup.
Right. I built a stack that I call just a crap stack, and it's my West Ham stack. And I have a lot of nicknames for this West Ham stack that I won't repeat here on stream, but it was fairly cheap for a D2 champion Europe team. And then that's a division I'll never be competitive in. Like, well, I shouldn't say never, but very unlikely to be competitive there in the near future.
Weren't you just competitive in it like a week ago?
What's that?
Weren't you like just competitive in it a week ago?
That's my point. With the West Ham stack, though, I can be competitive every once in a while. When they get a clean sheet and win 1-2-3-0, I have a chance at winning a card.
Mm-hmm.
And if I just bought the 5 best players that I could buy, they would probably never correlate, and I would never have a chance at a card. But now it's like if they get a clean sheet, and Bowen and maybe Bowen whips a corner into Zuma's head or something, I can win a card that week. And I would say it's extremely unlikely for me to otherwise win a card in Champion Europe D2. So it's just a good way for me to be like have a team there. And honestly, it's easy for me because I can just follow the West Ham news. And if I know a player's not going to play or something, and like now I'm like really familiar with the team, and I know Fabianski's not going to play in any of the Europa games. So it's like midweeks now I know that I have to have another goalie in that lineup. And it's helpful to me just to be like kind of attached to a team and know their team news really well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I think that was one of the things we said is that like it makes your research a little easier because you don't need to search 5 different guys, or you don't have to find 5 different news sources in 5 different languages because they're in 5 different countries. So you can just check out whatever the.
But then also it makes my decision making pretty binary and simple. Every week I don't really have a decision in Champion Europe. I just play the West Ham stack. Like this week they're on the road. I forget who they're playing, but I don't think that it was a great matchup. It's like whatever. That's the team this week, and maybe they steal a game on the road. I don't know, but.
Do you think the expectation is that stacks should work every week?
Some people might have that expectation. I don't think that that's like where the anger is coming from. I think that the anger is more people just see, those 3 IAC stacks in Challenger D3 and they're like, shit, I can't win because that happens every week. And they feel like it happens every week. And it happens a lot. I'll agree with that. But I think that if you take those 3 same managers and you give them the same budget to build a great Challenger D3 team, they're going to have really, really competitive teams that probably win at similar frequencies.
So your crap stack, as Mark's going to point out, are 4th in the Premier League. They're ahead of Man United, Tottenham, Everton, Leicester, Arsenal. That doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, I'm missing some of the key players on the team though. Like I don't have Declan, I don't have Antonio, so those are their like 2 of their best players from an all around and then a decisive standpoint.
Yeah.
So it's still a crap stack.
And you put yourself in a bit of a tough spot. You obviously had some of the cards already, but
yeah,
you're not getting any new West Ham cards. And so
right.
If somebody is here like, oh, I should build a stack.
Yeah, I mean, Zuma is a new West Ham card that I bought, but for special reasons,
Yeah. Kurt Happy.
Yeah.
So I think the other problem that we face this week with all like the IAC podiums is that there are like I don't know if you're making stacks just to win podiums. Like obviously that when Sean was on talking about the Chicago Fire stack, like he did that because it was in D1. Like he did that to win D1. But like you can win D1 on an off chance with a Chicago Fire stack. I don't know if he actually ended up winning D1 with it.
I think his Chicago Fire stack is a D2 stack.
Oh, is it D2? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're all super rares.
Gotcha.
I think he has one unique.
That's right. The Madron.
Madron, yeah.
Okay. Yes. So it just seems like there's this idea that like I'm going to stack so the 1 week I can get a podium, but like you can win a lot of cards every week without coming close to the podium.
Yeah.
You can win one card every week, or you can win more cards than just podium. And I feel like when we see stacks win podiums, everyone's like, oh, I guess I got a stack. And it's like you're ignoring the last 12 weeks when it didn't work. And
yeah, but let's be real, the IX stack works a lot.
Yeah.
99% of the time it works all the time. Or something
That's fair. That one's a tough one.
And the Bayern stack hits pretty hard too. But again, those are the 2 like most expensive things. Like they're expensive stacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's fair. They are. It is funny when you're like, oh, well, I'll just buy the best players, and then they're all happen to be on the same team, or at least the best scorers.
Yeah.
The benefit with Bayern and Ajax, obviously, is that they have significant midweek utility too, with how good they are. So that they have Champions League also, but
yeah, for sure.
Do you have any? You have Kimmich and Goretzka, right?
Yeah.
And Davies.
Yeah. Goretzka's been tough, man, because he had a cold, and I just kept thinking, I was like, oh, it's just a cold. He's going to play. And he killed a couple lineups for me the last, I guess, 2 game weeks. Yeah.
You know what's not a thing anymore?
What's that?
Just a cold.
Yeah. Right. I guess that's probably the case, because I think, didn't the coach have COVID or something? So they're probably being super careful about, putting him into the team or whatever, but still that's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. So let's see. What does Sam say? I think the issue you're trying to talk about is basically 1, are stacks a game design problem, and 2, should something be done about them? He thinks they are a problem, he thinks they are a design problem. I'm going to disagree.
It's hard to say whether they should do anything about them, because I think that the only way you can do something about them is if you're like very, very decisive about it. Like you'd have to say, you can't allow more than what 3 players from the same team or something, which is pretty big change. Like you have to allow 2 players from the same team, right? There's like nothing, like there's no way you can say, oh, you can't have 2 players from the same team. Should you be able to have 3?
You should be able to have 5, man. There's
Yeah.
no like
If you can have 3, then you're like there. Like that's most of the team, anyways.
I think the problem is that a lot of people compare it to FPL, and I know a lot of people in the States compare it to DraftKings and FanDuel because they have roster limits. Like you can only have a certain number of guys, but they also play a lot more. Like you can't have more than 3 guys from the same team in FPL, but you have 15 players.
Right.
Like we have 5. So like I just don't see how you can justify limiting players that you can have in your lineup.
Yeah, I'm sure Mark makes a good point. The game's slogan is "Own Your Game." They need to change that. And Mark, I imagine you would not be very happy if they limited the number of Liverpool players that you could shove into a lineup.
Yeah. Hashtag own most of your game.
Yeah.
And then play the other ones in another lineup. That's a long hashtag, though. Yeah, I don't see. The other thing is that, like, if I had to split it, then I'm still just keeping, like, if it was max 3 and I have a 5-man stack, like, I'm just going to play 3 in one and 2 in the other. I'm not going to play them in all 5 different lineups.
Right.
There aren't enough choices for that, too. Like,
yeah. So, do you play any offensive stacks?
I do.
And if you do you feel like they're effective?
I think one of the big misconceptions in attacking stacks is everyone's like, oh, well, this guy's going to assist the other guy.
Yeah.
And that happens so less frequently than people think. Like I remember last year, Harry Kane and Son Heung-min it felt like they were doing it every week. And I think they ended up at like 9, which I think was a Premier League record. Maybe the number was 10, somewhere around there. Like it just doesn't happen that much. It really doesn't. And so like past seasons, like the league leaders would have like 4. And so I know a lot of people talk about this Noah Lang, De Ketelaere combo. And it's like, they just happen. If they get decisives, it's because they both scored or one had an assist to somebody else. Like they just don't link up that much.
Yeah. Me and you looked at that together one week because I was talking about looking at CDK and we looked at the combos on SorareData and it wasn't really there. Like the correlation was just meh. Like,
do you know where they do? You know where they do correlate a lot though?
What's that?
With Ajax, they're just all over
because they're always smashing.
Yeah, there's always some sort of Tadic to Hilaire or Berghuis to Tadic. You know, but it's never Gravenberch. He's just completely non-existent on that team. Yeah. But yeah, I feel
like certain teams it does work. Like Ajax is a good example. I feel like New England, there's a lot of offensive correlation there, like between Boo and Gil and Buxa.
I'll, without looking at it, agree with you that it does seem like the 3 of them are always on each other's goals. But I think that just the way that we have become to think of like, oh, they both got a decisive in the same game, and so they must correlate well. Like if they just both happen to score or get an assist, if they both get on the score sheet and they have nothing to do with each other, like that's fine. Like I'm not saying you shouldn't combine them either. It's like, well, it's just 2 elite players. They just happen to be playing on the same team. But like, I don't think anybody should be building attacking stacks thinking like this guy's going to assist the other one every week. Like it just doesn't happen enough to make that worth it.
Yeah.
But I tried. I'm trying to think of who I did it with. PSV maybe. I didn't even really do it to PSV. Like I have a limited PSV stack with Gakpo. It's Gakpo, Sangare, and Biscali. But like it's not really they just happen to play for the same team.
Ken Jong, I'm not really sure what you're saying. Limit game mode and limit entries, else Wales will just dominate again. Dude, Wales are already dominating.
Yeah, there's no again.
Wales will dominate. That's just the name of the game. And I think as smaller galleries, you have to figure out a way to like kind of like go against the grain or go against the curve and try to maybe outsmart them every once in a while, or run that weird stack that does hit hard every once in a while and pops off and steals a card. You know, that Chicago Fire stack that makes it onto the podium one week.
Yeah, I just feel like if they made that change, like in terms of limiting the number of players, it's because they got enough feedback of like, this isn't fair. Whereas like, it's actually just, I'm upset I don't have it. And I don't think you should change rules for that reason.
Yeah.
That sounds really harsh now that I say that out loud, but that's actually what I think.
Sam actually made a really good point. And this kind of was kind of one of the topics that we were going to talk about is the schedule exclusivity. Like a lot of the stacks, like that is kind of the sexy part about the stack is they always play together. They're on the same team. They always play together. So there's little time frames where maybe the Brazilian league is only playing it at one time and there's no other champion America teams. Well, if you have the top team in that division, then you're going to be looking pretty good that game week. And there were game weeks in the past couple months where Mineiro was like one of like 2 or 3 teams playing. Like Boca might have been playing and River might have been playing, but Mineiro just was crushing at the time. And it was just basically if you had 5 Mineiro players, you were winning cards those weeks.
I remember it had to have been a River Plate stack because it was like a midweek, and I think I might have been first. And I was like, so like pumped up and like, oh, who still has to play? And it's like, oh, Mineiro. And I finished like 17th.
Yeah.
They're just they crush. But yeah, so Mark brings up this interesting point about the possibility that I guess it's not really expanding to regions expand to leagues, but it's really what is the opposite of expand? It's not decrease. Deflate? I don't know. Whatever. But if we have league-specific competition, what's that?
Segregate, I guess.
I guess.
Like separate like Champion Europe into like La Liga, Bundesliga, EPL. Like really segregate the leagues apart from each other.
Right. And then should you be allowed to stack Real Madrid?
Sure. I guess. I mean, own your game, right?
We should have had someone on that greatly disagreed with us.
Yeah, we should have.
But ultimately, I just think that the argument just ends up being it's not fair because then the people who can buy the best cards win, and it's like, well, that's the case now. Like if we disallow stacks, this is not going to make people with bigger budgets be like, oh, I'll just buy crappy cards now.
Right. Well. And two, like in the Eredivisie, like who are the 5 best cards to own? And I'm sure like 3 of those 5 are probably all on IAC, right? Pulling your tools up over there, I see.
I am, only because I thought I looked this up the other day, and oh no, it was in the Bundesliga. It wasn't all of. But yeah, so the top players in Challenger Europe. So that's the worst part. It's not even just the. Right. It's like all of Challenger. But IAC is 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. So then we should
6 players in the top 10 or something.
Those were the places that they are, yeah. So the guys who are in the top 10 who are not IAC are Morioka, who's 2nd, Gakpo, who's 7th, Szymanski, who is 8th, and that's it. Everyone else is IAC.
Wow.
So what I also noticed during these IAC stacks is I think 4th place in Challenger D3 was also an IAC stack.
I think so.
And every single one of them would have won AllStar D3. And I don't know. Why wouldn't you just play that? Like it feels like you're playing an IAC stack in Challenger to win other IAC cards.
Yeah.
Which you won't play.
It would be fun to go like look at the rewards of those guys and like see, if they would have won AllStar D3 instead, what would they have won?
Oh yeah, I like that. Well, that's easy to find out too.
It's not that hard, right?
So let's see who they actually won though. So it was Challenger D3.
Yeah.
So 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Oh, with challenge. So also Challenger D3 this week. Prizes were absurd. The top 8 were under 23s. So the top 3 were Vandevort, Bigelow, Noah Lang.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're getting any better.
That's like 3 each card. Each one of those cards is worth roughly 1 ETH, I would say, right?
Yes.
Good ballpark.
Yes. So AllStar D3 was Mbappe, Memphis, and Oblak.
Okay, and all of those cards are worth, well, Mbappe is worth well over 1 ETH. Probably what, like 5 plus, 5-ish.
Yeah.
And then who's second? Who's the second one there?
Memphis.
Memphis, what, like 1.6 to 2.5
at least, yeah.
Yeah, close to 2 maybe. And then the last one was who?
Oblak.
Okay, worth probably 2 ETH maybe. I don't know.
Mignon was 4th. I'd be pissed about that.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one, but still, it's like I get why he's still there. It just hasn't made it got washed out yet. But
Vandevort 5th. So no IAC guys.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. With that said, if you have an IAC stack, please keep playing it in Challenger.
Yeah.
I have no interest in competing in All-Star against that. So I bought 2 Utrecht super rares to compete in D3 and now, or sorry, in Rare Pro, and it doesn't feel so good right now.
Yeah.
But it's probably because I don't have Morioka. That's why. Not the IAX guys.
It just seems like if you can, and I'm sure looking at those galleries, there's probably situations where they're probably running elite Challenger D3 squads and elite All-Star D3 teams. But it's like if you can win Mbappe in a division, and soon if you can win Haaland in a division, it's like you got to put your best lineups in just those divisions. Because I don't know, the differential on winning like one of those guys is so big. I saw Hendo won the Mbappe this week, and U23 D3, pretty awesome.
That's fun. I'd like to win that. So Sam was saying, I keep saying it wouldn't be fair to make changes. It's actually the opposite. I feel like we're saying we're making changes because people think this isn't fair. And I think it's perfectly fine to make changes to make the game better, but I'm not sure this makes it better. I think we're just changing it because people think it's not fair.
Yeah, changing it because there's some loud people that are upset about it.
I'm sure there are quiet people who are upset about it. I just don't think it's a solution. Like if they're like, okay, sorry, you can't play Tadic. It's like, okay, well then I'll just play, I don't even know. I'll play Gakpo.
Yeah.
Because like they obviously have the budget for both. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
Like, does it make it any better or worse? Now we're all worse. And now the guys who want to
I guess there's less correlation, but it's 2 elite players that score well every week. It's like, does it matter? I don't know.
That's what I mean. If you're Bayern, do you play your, Lewandowski, Kimmich, Goretzka, and then you take Allison and TAA?
Right.
Does that make you feel better? Like, that doesn't feel fair.
Right.
I'm sure Marcus put that lineup out at some point.
Yeah, that is totally unfair. We should not allow that. I would not allow that. I think Mark over there probably has some lineups quite like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I
bet I'm sure Mark's like, yeah, limited if you want.
Yes,
I'll still destroy you guys.
Yeah, but so oh man, Marco says as payouts have been good of late. The fear is why would you use a stack in All-Star where you could end up with an MLS or an Asia card, which I've been doing that lately. I have been entering my better MLS lineups in All-Star because I'm like, oh, I want to win non-MLS cards. I just win MLS cards in All-Star.
I saw that. But at least you have the chance at not winning an MLS card, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That helps, I guess.
That's the hope that kills you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard right now. Like, I don't really want to try to win MLS cards right now because granted, I will take cards, but like I'm not prioritizing my best lineups in Champion America because I don't know, the price of those Champion America cards is slightly depressed right now with those seasons coming to an end. It's like I'd rather win the cards that are worth more right now. That's not to say that like Champion America cards are, not going to be worth a lot of money here in about, I don't know, 4 months when those seasons start firing back up and all these new users want to play in the summer and spring months. But I just, if I could win a card right now, I'd rather win the card that is worth more money.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately a bummer of here's a card that has 3 games left, and the prices are at all-time lows because they have 3 games left.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they should like remove them from the pools. Just remove them from my line of whenever I have a reward. That's all. Simple request.
Ken mentioned an XP penalty for stacking, and I saw somebody else mentioning something similar.
Yeah.
With I forget the exact specifics, but basically like a slight penalty for every I guess stacked player, and it's an idea, sure. Like I'm not a fan of any penalties or preventions like preventing it being done, but if that's something that they decided to do at some point, we just play around the rule, I guess. And then you're strategically figuring out, does it still make sense to play Tadic and Haller together or whoever? It's like, still got to do the math, I guess.
I'll just go buy Noah Lang. Oh, well.
Yeah, play Noah Lang and Tadic together.
I can't afford that. But no, I think the one negative about that is that it makes the game more complicated. And you guys had that, whatever that previous iteration was, that was before my time of power, whatever you guys called it. And it sounds so complicated. And the fact that like people were trading for cards with less XP, like I think that's just the road we go down of like, the idea is to make this is a very complicated game, but it's very easy to play. Like you need 5 players. They'll get a score at the end.
I love the idea that Mark has to an extent. I don't know about I like that if you have 5 that no one else has, you get a bonus. But like I would like some kind of like like chemistry bonus almost like that they have in FIFA. But you don't want to make the stacks more powerful. So you need to figure out some way of like having like players with Coombs in their name. If you have them all together in one lineup, then you get like some massive bonus. Thoughts?
No. I think we're going to get to the point, actually, and this is a big thing with DFS, not as much with soccer because it's not as big, at least in the States. I can't speak to fan team because a lot of people play that in Europe, but we didn't have it. I guess it's just open now. But one of the huge things about like large field tournaments in DFS is uniqueness. Like you're better off trying to build lineups that are unique more than lineups that have the highest median score. And so I think certainly with limited stacks, I think we're going to get to that point where it's like, oh yeah, let me just run out a Mineiro stack. And like, I have a Mineiro stack. I was sick of losing to Mineiro stacks all the time. So when limited cards came out, I was like, I'm going to get a Mineiro stack. But at some point, like if you're just losing, if you do that late, you're losing the XP battle. And now it's actually, you want a unique lineup. And so maybe people move away from stacks just because if everybody's doing that, then maybe that's not the way you should go to be different.
I think the white paper, the Sorare white paper had what Mark's talking about, a popularity curse. And basically it's if everybody plays the player, like if 100% of people that own Vanaken play Vanaken, you just get 100% of his score. But if, he mentioned Steph Peters, if only 50% of the owners play him that week, then his score gets like some kind of significant bonus to it. I think it's an interesting idea, fun idea, but then you have the players that have like really low like mints. Like you might have like a player that's like you have the only card of him. Like the one I'm thinking of is Quinny owns the card. Storloff. I think there's only like 3 of them. So like if they all get used, then like I don't know. I just think it might harm particular players, but maybe that doesn't really matter. I think it's a cool idea. You'd have to play around with how you're implementing it.
Do you think the solution to 5-man stacks is SO11?
Could be. I think one of our questions was kind of like angling towards that. I love more game modes, so I think that if they wanted to do another game mode where it was SO11 and it limited, like maybe it had some of the similar rules to FPL where it can only be, I don't know how many players from the same team, 4 or 3, something like that. Yeah, that could work. That'd be fun.
I had, speaking of SO11, my soraredata league team this past week had 3 DNPs in it. All 3 defensive DNPs, so I actually ended up with 0s. That just popped into my head when we talked about SO11. Wow. So yeah, I feel like popularity bonus is a fun idea, but it also just makes it more complicated. And you also like have no idea, like you're guessing how many people are playing, and we have that like information, how like where people have been playing.
Right.
Like, all of that's in the soraredata lineup builder, but like you're basically making lineups without knowing what your bonus would be. Yeah. And I don't know if that's a big unknown.
Yeah, I do like the idea of like the beauty of Sorare is just the simplicity. It's like get 5 guys, put them in a lineup, win cards.
I mean, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Your 5 cards.
I mean,
our scoring matrix is all of this.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Just score the most points.
And there are some weird things like nuances, like where pro is like up to 2 super rares, and then V2 has different rules. Like I would like for those rules to get more like standardized for new users. I think it makes sense, and just to make the whole game more like approachable would be if it were just all those rules. Like maybe we'll have a pro version of every scarcity, and like the same rules apply to each one.
It's funny you say that because I keep doing this with limited cards. I'll like win one of a guy that I have a rare card, like one of his teammates. And I'm like, oh, I can stack. And I'm like, nope, I can't do that yet.
Right.
I need that limited pro.
We talked about that. I think last night Jimmer did a stream. We talked about the scarcities and the way the divisions are set up right now. And I think there was some concern that like they were like Sorare, like this new UI change was like Sorare getting ready for the change to where it's just scarcity based divisions, where it's just rare division, just a super rare division. But I think that we all kind of like agreed ish, me, you, Jimmer, and somebody else, that we think that they're going to do scarcity based divisions and then a pro division in each one, maybe. So like a super rare pro division and just a regular super rare division.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, I guess you kind of agree with that, or you think that might be where they're going?
Yeah, no, I think it's obvious that at some point they're doing single scarcity divisions, but I don't think that's all they're doing. Like people were getting like very upset about that, understandably. Like I'd be pretty pissed about that.
Yeah.
But I think this pro model that they have is just, it's too easy to not to just use it everywhere. I think the one place where it might be a problem is whatever the super rare division, because right now you can use uniques and rares, which feels like a little weird that you can do 3 scarcities in one. And that's the only division, right? That you can use 3? Yeah. So maybe they take out the ability to use a rare there because we already still, the rare pro.
Which I think actually would make a lot of sense. I mean, my God, rare cards have so much utility right now. If they got pulled out of D2, I don't know that it would be that big of a deal.
It's funny that we are talking about this now as Nellis joins the chat, because I was listening to his podcast today and he was talking about how angry he'd get if they went to single scarcity. Yeah. Mark was saying that he would be furious. And yeah, I would be too. Mostly because I think that they are, but it's going to be a big but. It's going to be, but they're going to have pro versions in each scarcity. So I guess they can do that with casual too, right? So there'll be like a casual pro. That would be a funny terminology, casual pro. Casual pro. Just change
But
the
where like
amateur,
it was
my God.
commons plus a couple limiteds or something.
Oh, commons and limiteds, right?
Yeah, and then the limited pro would be like 3 limiteds and 2 rares.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
then
mean, it's the same. Yeah.
yeah, and then just like work that all the way up to unique. So the super rare pro would be 3 super rares and two uniques.
Or you could even use the term you progress up to them.
Right. Right. Maybe. We'll see.
That makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, it feels obvious that that's where they go, because single scarcity absolutely kills progression unless you have these in-between pro things that I really hope they change the name to.
Yeah, you don't like pro, do you?
I really don't. I don't
See,
know what it
it
is.
doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you. I understand why you dislike it, because it's I don't know. But
So I
what
had
else would
this
you
thought
call
the
it?
other day. So I had this thought the other day, and now the other day, a second ago, this just came into my head that maybe I have completely misunderstood pro in my thought that it actually meant professional. It actually means
Oh,
progression.
huh. You just blew my mind, Laird.
Mine feels a little blown too. Maybe I don't hate it as much.
Maybe they should just spell that out for us. For us simpletons over here.
Please,
Maybe everybody
just tell
else
us.
has realized this, and it's just me and you sitting here like, oh, professional. It's the pro version.
Pro. It's the pro version.
Man,
Yeah. Progression.
man.
Rare.
How did I not think of that?
I wish anybody else. I mean, I've been pretty vocal about how dumb I think calling something pro is, because this idea that professional is whatever. And nobody called me and was like, hey, it's actually progression or progress or whatever the pro.
Yeah, I love it.
Are we giving Sorare too much credit? Is it still actually professional?
I don't know. I hope Dan is watching or Carl's watching, and they're like, "Ooh, yeah, that's what we meant."
That's what we meant. Yeah. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, and that's what they meant the whole time.
Yeah, that's funny. Then the casual pro would make sense. It's like the casual progression division. It totally makes sense.
Yeah, in fact, I love that they called it pro.
Yeah, I do too. That has a good ring to it.
Very sharp. Yeah, I love that.
I don't see anybody in comments like saying that they realize this either. So I think we might.
Yeah, their heads exploded. Everybody's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't even know what else to say now.
About.
You just like totally blew my mind.
Yeah. Everything's better now. Let's get back to our stacks.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's really what I want to do. I want to build like limited rare stacks. 5 players, but just
they already got rid of D3, Sam. D3's gone.
It is gone.
It's professional.
Professional rare.
Yeah, professional rare division. Man.
Like if they do that by massively increasing D2 rewards to give more utility to mid-tier super rares, that could be okay. I think the biggest that was a terrible way to start, because it's definitely not the biggest problem they have. But I think a big problem is these tier 3 super rares that really are just completely worthless. Like
they would be better. They would have more utility if D3 required you to have 1 to 2 super rares. Because then you couldn't just like keep buying rares forever and just buy better and better and better ones, and eventually just lump them into your D3s. Like I feel like to make those have more utility, they should require them in that lineup instead of making them optional. But I do realize that, yeah, that would probably prevent people from playing in those divisions, and actually would probably make the price, like the cost of those tier 3 super rares go up, which would make some people happy because now their tier 3 super rares are worth more money, but then it would, put more of a block and prevent people from getting into that division. But I don't know.
I've given up trying to compete in D3 without super rares.
Yeah.
Like I'll throw lineups in, but like I don't think ultimately like I'm going to come to a strategy where I'm like, oh no, I'm going to just buy 5 really great rares and play them in D3. But I feel like the special weekly was like like they tricked us. They're like, we're going to give out super rares in the special weekly. And we're like, oh, that's so cool. And then you get them and you're like, what do I do with this? This guy doesn't play. I can't even get, I'd rather some limiteds, please.
I have just run really good, I guess, because I've won like tier 3 super rares like a lot this like last like, I don't know, 2 to 3 months. And they've all been like, because I usually like in the D2s and stuff, I don't really like compete for the podiums, but I'll like squeak in and steal cards. So I get a lot of the tier 3 super rares as prizes. And most of them have been like pretty useful cards for me. Granted, I'm not like if I were Surface, I wouldn't be saying the same thing. Surface winning a tier 3 super rare would be like, eh. And I'm sure YNWA, Mark, you would feel the same way. Like tier 3 super rares right now are just like, eh. Like it's a card you'll probably never put into a lineup. And you're probably just gonna sell it or maybe sit on it and hope that they become better or whatever. But like to me, I can take those cards and like immediately, if they're decent, I can put them into lineups.
I would say you just ran good on your T3s.
Yeah, probably. I've seen some of the ones that other people have pulled out, and it's just like, okay, I get why you're frustrated with that one, because it's like guys never, like he only subs on and scores 25 points a week. Probably not going to use them.
Yeah, I can't even sell them. I mean, I don't have that many of them, but like
even the ones that I've won and I'm using aren't cards that are, like can sell for like very much money. Like Sean Nealis is a good example.
Mhm.
He's 24. His last sale was like 0.1. But I mean, like, if you look at his scores the last like 4 weeks, 54, 66, 42, 79 last week. So, like, I mean, whatever. Using him, he's a decent defender. For me, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. Special Week was really the only place I'm like sometimes competing for super rares anyway, because I don't play the super rare division often.
So do you think that the progression divisions, because that's what I'm going to call them now.
Oh, we'll have super rare, like next level.
Do you think that they'll start awarding super rares there? And then do you think in the super rare progression division that they'll start rewarding uniques there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And even like they'll probably be like tier 2 for like the winner and like a tier 3 for like other people, maybe. I don't know.
Why not like a star?
A star unique?
Sorry,
reward a star unique.
No. Yeah, I guess that would make sense if you couldn't. Yeah, no, never mind.
Like even a tier 1, I don't think that they'll reward because those are going to sell for a ton of money.
Yeah, you should.
That's where they're making a lot of scratch.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to win a star unique.
But a tier 2, I mean, why not? Tier 3 for sure.
The only reason why I said that is because I really dislike when the top prize is not like the best card of what you can win in that division.
Yeah.
Like it's not a problem that I have, but people have been saying how like they've had tier 1s as the top prizes in D2, and it's like that we should be competing for the best cards. I know you can't like give them all out every week, but I don't know. It just fundamentally feels weird when you're like, I finished first place ahead of everyone else, and they're like, we have a group of 32 cards that you cannot win because they're too good for you, even though you beat everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So Mark, you won a progression bar is what it sounds like. Would be better for the highest value prizes to be won after a period of good performances as opposed to just one game week. I think that that's probably like more of like ingrained in like that FPL mindset. And then I would say that like the DFS mindset is more like, hey, I did good this week. I should get something awesome, you know?
Not even this week.
Definitely two competing forces there and two different, schools of thought. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't want to win ETH to go buy tier 3 super rares. I agree, Mark. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, just give out more ETH. I'm like,
right. And there's also like, like a number of cards issue too. The calculations on the number of super rares that are even available for prizes and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's also not just like give away more cards, because that's could be a problem too. So fun challenge for those people, Sorare people.
I think what I was mostly upset about with the tier 3s in the special weekly was just like, as soon as we saw the cards that were getting distributed and they were like, oh, this is how they're getting rid of their tier 3 super rares. Like they're just going to give them away. But it's like, these are cards that nobody was really going to buy anyway.
Right.
So,
love the last point from Masaki there. A smaller user is going to have a way smaller chance of competing over multiple weeks. In the current system, they can beat everyone with one good week, and it's much easier, which totally agree with that. Like, my West Ham stack is not going to beat Mark over the course of the season. Like, it's just not going to happen. But on like one given week, stars align, Jared Bowen bangs in 2 goals, and Fabianski gets the clean sheet. Hey, I'm winning.
We're cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Oh, there we go. Mark concedes.
Yeah. Back to like stacks for 1 second.
Yeah.
U23 stacks. Do you do it? Is it possible? What teams can you even do it with? I think
Salzburg.
Salzburg. Can you do it with Feyenoord? Is it Feyenoord?
Feyenoord.
PSV maybe?
PSV you can't because their goalie's 24.
Who does Bigelow play for?
He's at Feyenoord.
Okay. I think a lot of people use him with one of the defenders.
Him and Malacia, yeah.
There you go. Yep.
I have that.
Yeah, so that's a good, maybe not stack, but a good combo.
You can do it at Genk.
Genk, that's right. That's right.
And definitely Salzburg. Salzburg, you can do a full team.
Yeah. Okay. But do you want to do that?
And you can do, I have it in limited. You can do Kashima also for now. But Mikita's gone after meaning he's no longer 23. Well, he's actually 24 right now, but we'll only care about that until after July 1st. Oh, yeah, Sinistera. Yeah, they have a lot. You're right, Feyenoord. 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you have a U23 goalie and that team has a U23 defender, it makes sense to go there. That's all.
Bob says Genk is bad. All people should play that. Yeah,
there are a lot of people who won a lot with Genk.
Because I don't know any of them.
I don't have any. Well, yeah, we do. We both have the same guy. He just doesn't play.
Which one?
Ugbo.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Our boy Ike, man.
Which is mind-blowing that they don't use him, but whatever.
They got to wait to sell Big Paul to West Ham in January.
That ain't
and you'll have to buy Big Paul then.
Nope, ain't happening. We'll not buy him. Never going to happen. Big Paul will not be in my gallery.
Oh, come on. Quinny dropping the Atlanta is great for U23 when they have a 65-year-old goalie, but
for right now they are.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'd have to, make do with not using Guzan.
Yeah, let's touch on this last point that Mark just brought up. He said we wouldn't be debating half of this stuff if there were parallel collector incentives to work on, adding a collector-based section to the game that allows you to win cards without having to play SO5. So I had this weird reaction because Top Shot did that early, or not early. Top Shot did at some point. I never got into Top Shot, so I don't want to say something that is completely wrong. But one of the things that I liked about Sorare was that I was buying cards to play in SO5, and if I hit the nuts and got 5 guys that were really good and never got hurt and played all the time, I could just buy those 5 cards and win forever. And this idea of like buy more stuff to win stuff just never sat right with me. And I think it may have been fine had I not gotten to Sorare first. But yeah, this idea of like collect 25 cards of jersey mints and we'll give you a tier 3 super rare. Like, I'm not sure
that actually, don't know that sounds awful. The big issue in Top Shot was there was a lot of funny business going on with like some of the challenges. And I'm speaking ignorantly slightly, but I do remember reading a few things on this, where like some of their challenges were like artificially propping up the values of certain players, and there were people, quote unquote, in the know, and they knew which players might be part of a future challenge,
Oh,
and they
okay.
were acquiring those players, stockpiling those players, and then once they were part of that challenge, obviously the card or the moment was worth a lot more money,
Yeah.
and they were able to, profit off of that. So I think that a lot of like, if it were, they'd have to be really careful about the way that they instituted some of those things. Although I think like some of that stuff could make sense. Like if you own 10, it'd be hard to retroactively do that because it would like really benefit certain people. Cough, cough, YNWA. Like if you had the number 1 out of 100s, like if you have 10 of those, you win a exclusive card or something like that. Could get a little. You definitely rile up the masses. But I think that there are some things that they could look at there that might be intriguing.
No, just make the community feel better, and that if you have 5 or 10 Liverpool cards, then you win an Everton one. And see what happens. Isn't that what we wanted? No, you didn't want that Jordan Pickford super rare. No. Oh well. No, I think I don't know. I just and it's only because I don't have like I just have never played an NFT game that relied on me buying like specific things as opposed to just like getting better scores, I guess is the way I'd put it. I don't know.
Yeah. Experiences would be cool. Like if you, or even like little things, like if you like, I mean, I think that they announced that like Vanaken and somebody else was an ambassador of the game or something. Like,
Vandivore.
like what if you collected like their certain cards or like all like their full team or something like that? Then maybe you get like an autograph on your card or something. I don't know, something to make, a little something to think about. An attachment. I think I would call that like an attachment to the card.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah.
Mark will get that joke.
Jordan Pickford super with normal length arms. Love that. Great line. Maybe the 2 thumbs to show it.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, see? Collect all the cards with guys with thumbs. I'm into that. I'll do that. Guys holding a ball. If they take that out, if they release that, then I'll be okay with it. But yeah, he's right though. They do have to like leverage more with these relationships with the clubs, because I think people are going to be more excited to win a digital autograph than a tier 3 super rare.
Yeah. Or if there was a way to like obtain the autograph somehow, like I don't even know, like win first place with Vandivore as your goalie, like then the card gets autographed or something. I don't know, just like throwing ideas out there. But I think that there are like, if there were ways to like accomplish that, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or like commemorate you winning. Like I'm sure Hendo won that Mbappe this week, won U23 D3. Like it'd be cool if there was something to like just like commemorate you winning a podium like that. For us guys that don't win podiums every
the 20 ETH card's not enough to commemorate that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. We should have Nellis back on, because he has like a long list of experiences that he thinks that's so rare.
Yeah. I'm going to call Nellis out real quick on that. Like a 10-minute Zoom call with, and you just mentioned to Sam, a 10-minute Zoom call with Vandivore. What the hell am I going to talk to him about?
No, he says with Messi, which is even better. Like, just like, what would you thought? Hi.
Hey man, how you doing? I don't know. See, you scored another goal this weekend. Like, sure, it'd be cool and all, I guess. For me, I would just get my kids on and let them talk to him and ask him questions or whatever. But like, what's your favorite move and stuff like that. But man, like anybody else, like it'd be like, give me a conversation with Vanak, and I don't know what we're gonna talk about, man.
In fairness, I think John can probably talk to anybody, so I bet he would be
That
very
is
into
fair.
a 10-minute messy Zoom call. But
Yeah.
yeah. All right, we've gone a little over an hour here. Now we're getting into a whole new topic, so I think it's time to cut us off. Thank you to everybody in chat who has participated. It's pretty lively, so thank you for all of your comments. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting the like button below, it's always appreciated. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, just do that, because we'll be back next week with a brand new topic. So definitely check that out, or please do that. If you are listening to the audio version, if you could please rate and review it wherever you listen. Once again, this is the SorareAndrews podcast, brought to you by RotoWire and sponsored by Sorare. If there are any topics you'd like us to discuss, definitely hit us up either in the Sorare Discord or on Twitter. I am at Andrew M. Laird. Andy is at ABlack86. And yeah, find us there. Andy, thanks for that. And I'll talk to you next week.